Hello and welcome to the Athletics 2020 Beat Writer Mock Draft. I'm Lindsay Jones, national NFL reporter at The Athletic, and today I'll be serving as your commissioner, coming to you via Zoom from the basement, just like Roger Goodell will be doing when the real NFL draft kicks off on Thursday night. Today we'll be joined by our network of beat writers who will each be making a first-round pick for the team they cover. And now I declare the 2020 Athletic Mock Beat Writer Draft is now open. The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock.
This is Mabel, Dehner, my 3-year-old daughter, to make the selection. So ready? Go.
Bengal select the Burrow.
Yeah. A 3-year-old can do it. Great job, Mabel.
Great job, Mabel. Thank you so much for making that pick. So Paul, as much as I believe Mabel probably could provide the analysis as well, why was this the easiest call of this draft? Why was this so easy for the Bengals?
When you have a chance to take a quarterback that can cover up all the warts of your organization, that can make you forget about everything that's wrong, you have to take it. Whether it works or not, I guess time will tell whether Joe Burrow is anything close to the guy he was when he had the season that he had at LSU. But for the Bengals, as an organization, the spot they're in with Andy Dalton, ready to move on, and they're starting with a new, young, quarterback-friendly offensive guru coach, now is the time to do it. So you got to do it. You've done your job. You're good. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Paul, and thank you, Mabel. And now the Washington Redskins are on the clock. And now to announce the number 2 pick in our beat writer mock draft, we have Ben Standig from The Athletic DC.
Well, Commish, I appreciate the opportunity to make this pick. There's always talk about what Washington should do, trade down to get more picks, maybe consider quarterback. To me, there's really no debate. There's really no drama going on here. The Redskins, with the number 2 overall pick in the 2020 NFL draft, will take Ohio State pass rusher Chase Young.
All right. So that seems like a pretty slam dunk pick. How do you see the Redskins using him in their new defense under Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio?
Yeah, it's probably a little too simplistic to make the comparison to what happened last year when another Ohio State pass rusher, Nick Bosa, joined the 49ers and obviously helped them become a Super Bowl team. There is a little bit of a comparison, though, in the sense that, like San Francisco, Washington has a bunch of recent number 1 picks in their front 7, Jonathan Allen, Jerron Payne, Montez Sweat. And I think adding a pass rusher like Young, considered the best player in this draft, one of the 2 or 3 best pass rushing prospects to come along in years, according to scouts, I think he could potentially unlock something in this defense that has talent but really struggled last year. And I think under Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio in a new 4-3 defense, Young coming from the outside could really help collapse that pocket and sort of lift everybody else up as in that group overall.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben. Now the Detroit
Thanks,
Lions are on the clock. And here to make the number 3 pick in our beat writer mock draft is Chris Burke from The Athletic Detroit.
Yeah, Lions are staying put. Tried to make a couple moves and couldn't come up with anything. So with the 3rd pick, the Lions will select Jeff Okudah, cornerback from Ohio State.
All right. So you said you tried to make some draft trades here. Do you think that the actual Lions are going to have any better luck moving this pick?
I think they'd like to. I tried to had some conversations with Miami. Houston, our virtual Bill O'Brien offered Deshaun Watson and a lifetime supply of first-round picks, but I didn't know if he was kidding or that was allowed, so we stayed put. I think the Lions' goal, I think they'd like to move back to 5 or 6, and just looking at even making this pick, it was Okudah, Derek Brown, Isaiah Simmons are the 3 names that have been coming up for months now. You'd think at least 2 of those 3 would be there at 5 or 6, somewhere in that range. So if they can go back and still get one of these guys, I think that's their ideal move.
Well, I think they'll be very happy with Jeff Okudah. I think that, as a kind of a consolation prize to not being able to draft. Well, thank you, Chris. The New York Giants are now on the clock. Now to make the number 4 pick in our beat writer mock draft, we've got Dan Duggan from The Athletic New York.
And I have the Giants taking offensive tackle Jedrick Wills from Alabama.
All right. So I think the Giants had their pick of all of the offensive tackles here on the board. Why is Wills the one that you went with?
Yeah, and it was definitely a tough decision. I mean, first of all, I tried to trade back because I think that's what Dave Gettleman's going to want to do. I didn't find any takers. I think that might be the case for the Giants on draft night. So, yeah, I mean, I think you really can't go wrong. You talk to 4 different evaluators, you're going to get 4 different guys as their top tackle. For me, Wills, I think, he has a lot of upside. I think eventually can move to left tackle, but they can plug him in day one, fill a big hole at right tackle. And there's also the Alabama connection, Joe Judge and Nick Saban, have ties. I think maybe that gives them that little boost to put him over the other tackles.
All right. Thank you so much, Dan. And now the Miami Dolphins are on the clock. And now to make the number 5 pick in this beat writer mock draft is Chris Perkins from The Athletic Miami.
Miami Dolphins with the number 5 pick select Alabama quarterback Tua Tagovailoa.
All right. So Tua's off the board. What went into this decision for you, Chris?
He's the best available quarterback, and the Dolphins need a franchise quarterback. Yes, there are medical red flags, but you know what? The Dolphins can always back this up with another quarterback in the first round or the second round. They also have 2 first-round picks next year, so they feel pretty good about this pick. They're going with Tua despite the medical risk.
All right, Chris. The Dolphins have 2 more first-round picks, so we'll see you again in a little while. And now the Los Angeles Chargers are on the clock. And now to announce the number 6 pick in our Athletic Beat Writer mock draft, we've got Daniel Popper of The Athletic Los Angeles.
All right, with the 6th overall pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select Justin Herbert, quarterback out of Oregon.
So, Dan, why Herbert? Obviously, Tua and Burrow were gone, but why is Herbert the right guy for the future of the Chargers?
Yeah, for me, if Tua was available, I was going to take him, but obviously he went 5th to the Dolphins. I mean, the question for me is, can Tyrod Taylor win you a Super Bowl? And the answer to that question will determine this draft for the Chargers. The answer to that question is yes, then you surround him with as much talent as possible, and you're probably going with a tackle here at 6th or trading back to get multiple players. If the answer to that question is no, then you have to get quarterback figured out, because as we all know, quarterbacks win in this league. You can look to the Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes is making plays. Jimmy Garoppolo missed that throw in the 4th quarter, and the best quarterback won the Super Bowl. Is Tyrod Taylor making the play you need him to make in the AFC Championship game in the Super Bowl if you get there behind a good defense? In my opinion, no. So you got to get the quarterback situation figured out. What Herbert provides is everything Anthony Lynn is looking for. He's very mobile, athletic, and he has a big arm, and those are the things that Anthony Lynn wants to do. And in the post-Phillip Rivers world, Anthony Lynn wants to implement more play action, more RPO, more quarterback movement, more zone read. Justin Herbert does all of those things. And then obviously the one caveat is, can you really draft a rookie in all this chaos right now when you don't know if you're going to have spring practices, you don't know if you're going to have training camp? The beauty of it is Tyrod Taylor is under contract for 2020, and they like what he brings to the table as a starter. So you have the perfect bridge in place. So Justin Herbert could hypothetically sit for an entire season and learn and develop, and there's no pressure or rush for him to start right away. It's a perfect situation, and you get the quarterback situation figured out by taking Herbert 6th overall.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dan. And now the Carolina Panthers are on the clock. And now to announce the number 7 pick in our beat writer mock draft is Joe Person from The Athletic Carolina, and a special guest.
Yes, good morning. I brought my daughter Lucy Person along. Lucy is a freshman at Wofford, which is where the Panthers train, of course, and thought it would be appropriate for her to help make this pick at number 7. Lucy, the envelope. Okay. Go ahead and open it. And pick for the Panthers at 7, Derek Brown, defensive tackle, Auburn.
All right, Joe. I was going to say, why did the Panthers decide to go defense here, and why specifically with a defensive tackle?
This was a very tough decision for Marty Hurney and Matt Rule, because Isaiah Simmons was still on the board, that versatile playmaker in Clemson, of course. But ultimately, Derek Brown, I think, offers them the best blend, the best mesh of need and best player available. The guy was a freak at Auburn. The last time Marty Hurney used a first-round pick on an Auburn player, it turned out pretty good for the Panthers and Cam Newton. This time they go defense to fill a big hole along that defensive front.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe and Lucy. And now the Arizona Cardinals are on the clock. And now to announce the number 8 pick in the Athletic Beat Writer mock draft, we've got Scott Bordow from The Athletic, Arizona.
Hey, Lindsay, with the 8th pick, the Cardinals take Isaiah Simmons, linebacker, Clemson.
So were you surprised that Isaiah Simmons was here? What sort of decision was this for you?
I was surprised. I don't think the Cardinals thought he would draft fall to number 8, excuse me. They're looking for an offensive tackle in this draft, and they probably were going to take either Tristan Wirfs or Jedrick Wills if they fell to 8. But Simmons is just too much of a value to pass up. He's probably ranked on the top 5 of their draft board. They don't really have a need for a hybrid defensive player right now, a guy who can play linebacker and safety, inside and outside at linebacker. But he's just too good of a value at 8 to pass up, so they take Simmons.
Well, thank you so much, Scott. It looks like you're having lovely weather there in Phoenix.
It's 82 degrees today.
Wow. And now the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. And now we have our first trade of our athletic beat writer mock draft, where we have the Jacksonville Jaguars have traded back from 9 to 14 to swap first-round picks with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they are also giving up a third-round pick, number 76 overall. And now to make the number 9 pick in our beat writer mock draft, we've got Greg Auman of the Athletic Tampa Bay.
Thanks, Lindsay. After trading up to the number 9 pick, the Bucs will take Andrew Thomas, tackle from the University of Georgia.
All right, Greg, why did you pull off this trade to have the Bucs move up, and why was Thomas the guy?
Yeah, it was a tough decision. You worry about tackles going at maybe 9, even 10, 11. The Bucs need a right tackle and want to make a priority protecting Tom Brady, as they should. It's just a matter of whether you take what falls at 14 or whether you wait and try and move up and be a little bit more active with things. So seeing our draft kind of unfold as it did with no tackles besides Wills going in the first 8 picks, felt like there was an opportunity. So reached out to Jacksonville. Bucs need their draft pick, so it's hard to part with a third rounder. But I felt like the difference in being able to step up and get Andrew Thomas, I think he's a little bit more immediately ready to step in as a starter at right tackle. Has size, has experience on the left and the right side, so he's done a little bit of both. I felt like that was good value to make sure they get the right pick with the right tackle and a long-term position for them as well.
Yeah, sounds like Tom Brady will be thrilled with this decision. So thank you so much, Greg. And now the Cleveland Browns are on the clock. Here at the number 10 pick, we have had a trade where the Miami Dolphins have swapped with the Cleveland Browns. To get up here to 10, the Dolphins have given up number 39 and number 173. So here to announce the pick at number 10 is Chris Perkins from the Athletic Miami.
At number 10, the Miami Dolphins select Iowa tackle Tristan Wirfs.
All right, so why did you feel like the Dolphins had to make this trade, and why is Wirfs the answer here at 10?
The Dolphins need somebody to protect Tua's blind side. He's a left-handed quarterback, as you know. Tristan Wirfs is a right tackle. Jesse Davis, the current right tackle, he's actually better at right guard. So this draft pick, this trade actually solidifies 2 offensive line positions. Yes, the Dolphins still do need a left tackle because there are some fearsome pass rushers that will be coming there, but they feel that they can get that in the second round. They can get that in free agency. They're going to be aggressive, just like they were in signing Byron Jones in free agency, making that Josh Rosen trade last season. This falls in along with that. So give the Dolphins this trade and Tristan Wirfs at right tackle.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. And now the New York Jets are on the clock. And now with the number 11 pick in our beat writer mock draft, we've got Connor Hughes from the Athletic New York and a canine guest.
Yeah, Lucy. Yep, she's making her mock draft debut. I'm surprised she's actually being good. She's been passed on the couch with my fiance for the last 2 hours, so I'm sure that's why she's still a little dazed and confused. But yeah, this I think the mock, the way that this one at least played out for the Jets, they got to be happy. I mean, I know Joe Douglas would be thrilled with this. They need protection for Sam Darnold. They need to address that offensive line. And I know there was concern and talk about, what kind of offensive tackle is going to be there. And the fact that Mekhi Becton, the kid from Louisville, slid all the way down here to 11, I mean, that's going to make him absolutely thrilled. I mean, that's a guy that is athletic. He's fast. He's going to work well in Adam Gase's offense. He certainly fits the scheme. And he has sky-high potential. That drug test that he failed, or the drug test that was flagged at the Combine, obviously that's not too big of an issue anymore with the new collective bargaining agreement. Joe Douglas addressed that on a conference call the other day. But the fact that he made it to 11, I think, is a semi-surprise, but it's one that the Jets are going to be thrilled with.
Awesome. Thank you, Connor, and thank you to Lucy as well. And now the Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock. All right, and now to announce the number 12 pick in the Athletic Beat Writer mock draft, it's Vic Tafur from the Athletic Bay Area, soon to be the Athletic Las Vegas.
How you doing? We're taking C.J. Henderson, cornerback from Florida.
So how thrilled would the Raiders be to find C.J. Henderson there available where you're able to draft him?
I think pretty thrilled. I think you look at the top 3 receivers on the board, it would have been a tough choice, and now we don't make it. Now we can just move on with our lives, take the best cornerback available. I think it fills a big need for them, and they can always get a receiver later on in the draft.
And now to make the number 13 pick in the Athletic Beat Writer mock draft, we've got Matt Barrows from the Athletic Bay Area.
With the 13th pick, the San Francisco 49ers are going to take Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle, South Carolina.
So what role do you think Kinlaw is going to fill there for this Niners defense that, was obviously very, very good last year?
Right, and that defensive prowess began with the defensive line, which lost a big piece in DeForest Buckner with the trade to Indianapolis. So you insert Javon Kinlaw right there. I think there's a big gap between him and the next best defensive tackles. Keeping that defense good means keeping that defensive line well stocked. And so this is basically showing a big puzzle piece with a big bodied guy that can move. And so that's why it makes sense.
Great. Thank you so much, Matt. And we will see you later in the first round when the Niners get to pick again near the end of the round. And
Right.
now the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. And now to announce the number 14 pick in our Athletic Beat Writer mock draft, we're joined by Andre Fernandez of the Athletic Miami. And this pick was traded with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay, with the 14th pick overall, the Jacksonville Jaguars select wide receiver CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma.
All right, Andre, did you see the receivers falling and that's why you wanted to, make this trade? You thought you could get one? Take us through the thought process here with trading and then taking Lamb.
Well, it was part of the process. Yes, I saw a few of the guys that the Jaguars would have as targets falling a little bit. And then also Derek Brown, which was the biggest target, I think, for them, trying to beef up that defensive front and trying to beef up their run defense. He was gone at 7 to Carolina. So right now in the rebuilding process that the Jaguars are in, the more picks, the better, the more young talent they can get, the better. So I figured not dropping too far down at 14 still might give them a shot to make a quality pick and add another one later. They also have a huge gap in the 3rd and 4th rounds where they don't have a lot of picks between, I think it's the 73rd pick and 116. So that kind of bolsters that a little bit too. But I was thinking once Lamb and Judy are both there, it's too good to pass up. I mean, you could put Lamb, the kind of physical, the kind of great receiver, he has all the tools. If you put him bookends with DJ Chark for the next few years, that's a heck of a 1-2 punch that any quarterback, whether it's Gardner Minshew or down the road maybe Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, is going to have to throw to. And I think now the Jaguars still have the 20th pick and can focus on addressing the other need areas.
All right. Thank you so much, Andre. And now the Denver Broncos are on the clock. Now to announce the number 15 pick in the Athletics Beat Writer mock draft, we're joined by Nicki Jhabvala of the Athletic Denver. Go ahead, Nicki.
With the 15th pick, the Broncos take Jerry Jeudy, a wide receiver out of Alabama.
So I don't think it's any surprise that the Broncos were looking at a wide receiver here. Why is Jeudy the guy that they wanted?
I think he's just a polished route runner, all-around great player, probably one of the most polished guys that come out of the draft in years. And he's, with his ability to create separation with his speed, he's a very friendly target for a young quarterback. And the Broncos have dedicated this offseason to really building around Drew Lock, and this gives him another reliable target.
And I'm really excited to see him paired with Courtland Sutton. I think that's a big upgrade and something that the Broncos really needed to address.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Demaryius Thomas talked to Courtland Sutton recently and really told him the value of having another elite receiver by his side. So I think with those two, as well as Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay and tight end Noah Fant, this offense is really starting to come together. I mean, they're loaded with playmakers.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Nicki. And right now, the Atlanta Falcons are on the clock. And now to announce the number 16 pick in the Athletic Beat Writer mock draft, we've got Jason Butt from the Athletic Atlanta.
With the 16th pick, the Atlanta Falcons take LSU edge rusher Caleb Von Chasen.
So I don't think it's any secret that the Falcons need pass rush help. Why is this your guy?
he checks all the boxes. Kind of fits what the Falcons want to do in Dan Quinn's system. And with all the talk of the Falcons wanting to trade up for a guy, in my opinion, that guy would be Isaiah Simmons. Not able to do so in this beat writer mock draft. I think the fact that he's got all the physical tools, Caleb on Chasen, that is, he works out well for what Dan Quinn wants. Tack McKinley's entering his fourth year, presumably the last year of his contract, as it's not expected that they will pick up his fifth-year option. And therefore, they need somebody opposite of Dante Fowler for the next couple of years.
All right. Thank you so much, Jason. And now the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock. And now at the number 17 pick, we have another trade. The New England Patriots have swapped first-round picks with the Dallas Cowboys and also given up number 98 and number 100 to move up to number 17. Now to announce that pick from a bunker somewhere in New England, we've got Jeff Howe from The Athletic Boston. All right, so at number 17, the Patriots are taking Alabama wide receiver Henry Ruggs. Jeff, I don't know if you have signs to give us some analysis here, but why did the Patriots move up to take Henry Ruggs? All right, thank you so much, Jeff. So that was really fun. I like that pick a lot for the Patriots. And now we've got the Cleveland Browns are on the clock. All right, now here at number 18, we've got yet another trade where the Eagles have swapped first-round picks with the Cleveland Browns and have also given up 2 fourth-round picks to move up here to number 18. So joining us to announce that 18th pick is Bo Wolf of The Athletic Philadelphia and Dave Gettleman over his shoulder.
Well, I like to keep my heroes watching over my shoulder, Lindsay. With the 18th pick, the Eagles have moved up to select LSU wide receiver Justin Jefferson. They desperately need a receiver, and so they don't want to risk having to dip into beyond the number 4 wide receiver on the board, so they move up.
Yeah, so Bo, did you see the receivers coming off the board really quick and panicked and felt like you had to make a trade here? How did that go down?
So I was trying to move up to sort of the 12-13 area to try to get Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb, the guy who would really make an impact. And then the Patriots scooping up Henry Ruggs, thanks to the Cowboys, which is something that I think Eagles fans would not forget, puts the Eagles into this position where they have to try to move up. I think they have boxed themselves into a scenario where they absolutely need to come out of this draft with at least 1 receiver in the first 2 rounds, and falling to 21 if the first 4 guys are off the board, I think they're going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Well, thanks, Bo. I'm sure you made Dave Gettleman proud. And now we've got the Las Vegas Raiders back on the clock. And now here at the 19th pick, we have another trade. And this one is between AFC West rivals. The Denver Broncos have moved back into the first round, swapping some picks with the Las Vegas Raiders. The Broncos are getting number 19 and number 159 from the Raiders, and they are giving up a 2nd and a 3rd rounder. So now here to announce the pick at number 19, once again, is Nicki Jhabvala from The Athletic Denver. Go ahead, Nicki.
At number 19, the Broncos take Trayvon Diggs, a cornerback out of Alabama.
So I want to think that this is Vic Fangio. Somehow you're channeling Vic Fangio to make this pick. But why do the Broncos get back into the first round to take a cornerback here?
Yeah, I mean, it's partly for Vic, although Vic's teams haven't taken a corner like in years. But, bolstering the defense has been a priority. And after losing Chris Harris to the Chargers, they have a lot of uncertainty back there. So, getting the receiver was a big priority. Getting an elite corner was another big priority. And in Trayvon Diggs, they get a guy who has the athleticism, the speed, the size. He might need some refinement, but he's got probably the best coaching staff to work with him in terms of really developing him as a sound cornerback.
Great. Thank you so much, Nicki. And now the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. And now with the 20th pick in our Beat Writer mock draft, we welcome back Andre Fernandez from The Athletic Miami. Go ahead, Andre.
Thanks, Lindsay. With the 20th pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select offensive tackle Josh Jones from Houston.
So why was this the offensive lineman that you think the Jags are going to want here?
Well, looking at the trade they did before, I think they were hoping a few others would slip maybe to 14 while still getting what they ended up getting, which is CeeDee Lamb, a pretty potentially elite playmaking receiver. But they couldn't afford to have any more tackles fall through the cracks and miss out on a good opportunity. So Jones is still pretty good and still a guy that you want protecting the blind side of a guy like Gardner Minshew. This is going to be a rebuilding year in Jacksonville, so pretty tough. You want to have enough protection for him so he has a fair audition for potentially landing the long-term job there, or you start establishing even more of a pass protection front there and a foundation for that future quarterback, like we said before, whether it's Minshew or a guy that they might pick later on in 2021.
Great. Thank you so much, Andre. And now the Cleveland Browns are on the clock. And now here to make the number 21 pick in our beat writer mock draft, we've got Zach Jackson from The Athletic Cleveland. Go ahead, Zach.
With the 21st pick in the Athletic beat writer mock draft, the Cleveland Browns select Austin Jackson, offensive tackle, University of Southern California.
All right. So to get here, you had the Browns trading back twice in the first round. Can you take us through that process and why you ultimately ended up with Jackson?
Well, I promise you it wasn't just about me having something to do as this mock draft was going on. I just look at the situation. The Browns are going to be in the market for really young and unproven left tackles. So I see Isaiah Simmons come off the board. I see Andrew Thomas come off the board. And I see an opportunity for a team that's certainly not rebuilding, but is in the first year of a new regime. Again, they get to add a bunch of picks. They still get that young offensive tackle who they can develop for the future with a lot of positive athletic qualities. And with these other picks, maybe they get in the Trent Williams business. Maybe they sign Jason Peters. They just have a lot of options. I just thought once Andrew Thomas was gone, I thought this made the most sense to start trading down the board and take advantage of not really needing a receiver right now when so many other teams did.
All right. Thank you so much, Zach. And now the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. And now to announce the 22nd pick on our Athletic beat writer mock draft, we're joined by Chad Graff of The Athletic, Minnesota.
With the 22nd pick in the draft, the Minnesota Vikings select cornerback Christian Fulton from LSU. The Vikings badly in need of cornerback help after Trey Wayne, Xavier Rhodes, Mackenzie Alexander all leave in free agency. So some much needed help for Mike Zimmer's favorite position.
All right. Thank you so much, Chad, and we'll see you again later in the first round. All right. And here to announce the number 23 pick in the Athletic beat writer mock draft, we've got John Machota of The Athletic Dallas. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, with the 23rd pick, the Dallas Cowboys select A.J. Terrell, cornerback, Clemson.
So this is a trade, or this pick was traded. You swapped with New England to move back here to number 23. Why did you make the move to trade back? And then why was Farrell the guy that you wanted?
Well, I think the Cowboys would love for this situation to happen because when they were sitting there at 17, all the guys that they really liked, like C.J. Henderson, K'Lavon Chaisson, were off the board. Now, if Chaisson would have fallen, I would not have made this trade. I would have just taken K'Lavon Chaisson there. I just thought that would be the perfect pick. But when he went 16, I immediately started thinking, what can I do to trade back? Because Cowboys have 7 picks in this draft, but they could definitely use more. And to be able to add 98 and 100, and now gives them 5 picks in the top 100, and you get a guy like A.J. Terrell, who they need a top corner to replace Byron Jones, who they lost in free agency, and Terrell's a guy I considered at 17 if I couldn't move out. So to be able to get these extra picks and get him, I just thought it was great value.
Great. Thank you so much, John. And now the New Orleans Saints are on the clock. And now to announce the number 24th pick in the Athletic beat writer mock draft, we're joined by Katherine Terrell of The Athletic New Orleans. Go ahead, Kat.
With the 24th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Saints select linebacker Patrick Queen from LSU.
So aside from keeping the LSU kid home in Louisiana, why do you like this pick for the Saints?
Well, obviously, since I went to LSU, I have to go with the homer pick, home state guy, even though the Saints don't pick too many LSU guys. But in all actuality, this is a great draft for the Saints. It would have given them a ton of options. They could have gone wide receiver, offensive line here. But linebacker does remain one of their biggest needs. They had some free agency departures. Their remaining linebackers have some injury history behind them. Patrick Queen is only 20 years old. He has a ton of upside, a lot of raw athletic ability, and he could probably play next to Demario Davis at nickel in all 3 downs right away. So I could certainly see the Saints taking a guy like that with a lot of upside to plug into their linebacker room instantly.
All right. Thank you so much, Katherine. And now we've got the Minnesota Vikings on the clock. And here at the number 25th pick, we have another trade where the Baltimore Ravens have swapped first rounders with the Minnesota Vikings. The Ravens give up number 28, number 134, number 170, and they get back number 25 and number 170. So here to make this pick at number 25 is Jeff Zrebick of The Athletic Baltimore.
With the 25th pick, the Ravens select Kenneth Murray, inside linebacker from Oklahoma.
All right, Jeff, I don't think it's any secret that the Ravens were going to be looking at linebackers here in the first round. Why are they going with Murray?
You know, linebacker is a glamour position in Baltimore, you know, from Ray Lewis right through C.J. Mosley. And right now, the top guys in their depth chart are Jake Ryan and L.J. Fort. They need help there badly. And Kenneth Murray fits them so well with his speed, physicality, intangibles off the field. Plus, the Ravens love Oklahoma players. They've drafted. This would be the 5th Oklahoma player they've drafted in the last 3 rounds. So they had to trade up to get him because with the Packers looming and them rumored to covet Murray, you know, Eric DeCosta had to be aggressive.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. And now the Miami Dolphins are back on the clock. And now here to announce the number 26th pick in the Athletic Beat Writer mock draft. Once again, we have Chris Perkins from The Athletic Miami to make the 3rd first-round pick for the Dolphins.
At number 26, the Miami Dolphins select Iowa defensive end A.J. Epinesa.
All right, so that's 2 Iowa players here for the Dolphins. Why is this the pick here at number 26, Chris?
Lindsay, this to me, this was the toughest pick of the draft because Jordan Love is still there, and I would like to see the Dolphins take 2 quarterbacks. However, after having taken Tua and taking care of the right tackle with Tristan Wirfs, that pass rush does need some help. They got a lot of help in free agency, but they do need an alpha male pass rusher. They got Kyle Van Noy, Emmanuel Ogbah, Shaq Lawson, but Epinesa is going to be that alpha male pass rusher they need. Perhaps they get a quarterback in the 2nd round. As you know, pick number 39 is gone, but they get the pass rush help that they need here at number 26.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. And now we've got the Seattle Seahawks on the clock. Now here at the number 27 pick, we have had a lot of trade action. First, we had the Seattle Seahawks trading back with the Green Bay Packers. In terms of that trade, we're sending pick number 30, number 136, and number 192. And then the Packers went ahead and turned that pick and swapped with the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are giving up number 39, number 127, and tight end David Njoku to the Packers in order to make this pick. So now to announce the number 27th pick, welcome back Zach Jackson from The Athletic Cleveland.
With the 27th pick in the Athletic Beat Writer mock draft, the Cleveland Browns select Zach Bond, linebacker from Wisconsin.
All right, Zach, why did you get back into the first round here to make this trade?
Well, I like his name, first of all, but as you look around here, you know, the linebackers, the edge guys are starting to come off the board. And so what I was able to do with this maneuvering is still get the young offensive tackle on Austin Jackson with the upside. Then I felt like I needed to make a move, get Bond. You know, the Browns have a new staff, so we're not exactly sure how they're going to play defense, but they need guys in the front 7. He can play linebacker. He can play on the edge. And really, most importantly, I've done all this. I've added him, and I've kept that pick at 41 in the 2nd round where I could go after safety, go after a true edge guy, something like that. So, you know, Kirksey's out the door. Schobert's out the door. Nobody knows what's up with Olivier Vernon. They need help on defense. They play in the AFC North, and Zach Bond, from an athletic standpoint, makes a lot of sense.
It's not lost on me that you drafted players for the Browns whose names are Zach and Jackson. So well done.
Sometimes it just works.
All right. Thank you so much, Zach. And now to make the number 28 pick in the Athletic Beat Writer mock draft, we're joined once again by Chad Graff of The Athletic Minnesota. And this is a pick that the Vikings traded with the Ravens to move back from 25 to 28. Go ahead, Chad.
With the 28th pick in our mock draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver from Arizona State. This is a very deep wide receiver class, and the Vikings are badly in need of a wide receiver after already needing one last year. And then they go ahead and trade Stephon Diggs to the Buffalo Bills. So very much in need, and in Ayuk, they get one of the most explosive receivers in the draft.
All right, Chad. I think Vikings fans have got to be happy with the two players they've come away with in this first round here in our beat writer mock draft. So thank you so much, Chad. Now to make the number 29th pick in the Athletic beat writer mock draft, we're joined by John Glennon of the Athletic Tennessee. Go ahead, John.
With the 29th pick, the Titans select Jeff Gladney, cornerback from TCU.
So why was this a position of need, and why was Gladney the guy that you went here with for the Titans?
Position of need because the Titans lost a big part of their secondary from last year. Logan Ryan, their nickelback, is unsigned right now and not likely to return. Not a lot of depth at cornerback. I thought Gladney would be an excellent replacement. A very good athlete, of very good coverage skills, broke up 15 passes each of the last 2 years. Guy with a lot of confidence, a lot of swagger, can play both inside and outside for the Titans, so he fits a lot of needs and should be a good boost to this Titans defense.
Great. Thank you so much, John. And now the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock. And joining us now to discuss some trade scenarios is our Green Bay Packers beat writer, Matt Schneidman. So Matt, we're going to start at the beginning of all of the machinations that you've been doing around this draft board. The night before our mock draft, you swapped first round picks with the Seattle Seahawks to move up from number 30 to number 27. And then during the draft, you traded out of the first round, swapping picks with the Cleveland Browns. So can you take us through all of these moves that you made during this mock draft?
Yeah, so first I went from 30 to 27 and gave up 136 and 192 because I wanted to get above the Baltimore Ravens to take Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma because I know the Ravens need an inside linebacker. Packers badly need one. But then the Ravens jumped ahead of me again because they knew I wanted to take Kenneth Murray. So then with my top targets off the board, I moved back out. So in the end, I moved back 9 picks from the first to second round, move up 9 picks from the 4th round into the 4th round, and then get a new starting tight end in David Njoku from the Browns in place of number 192.
So why was that tight end a big part of what you think that the Packers will need to acquire in this draft?
Yeah, I think right now, their 2019 third-round pick, Jace Sternberger, who only caught 3 passes last year, missed the whole first half of the season. He's their number 1 tight end. Jimmy Graham signed with the Bears. They missed out on Austin Hooper and Eric Ebron. So I don't know if they're going to draft a tight end, but I think they need a veteran pass catcher in there who can help Aaron Rodgers because the next couple seasons are really about maximizing whatever Rodgers has left. And right now, I don't know how much they can count on Sternberger.
So knowing what you know about the Packers, their front office, their fan base, how likely a scenario is this? You think that the Packers could be one of the most active teams in moving up and moving back in the actual draft this weekend?
It's certainly possible. We talked to Brian Gutekunst on a conference call yesterday, and he seemed really giddy about the prospect of moving up, moving back. They have 10 picks. In his first 2 drafts as general manager, he's moved all around the first round. He hasn't stayed put in either. So he really emphasized to us that he's looking forward to being active. He thinks they have the ammunition that he needs to move wherever he needs to in this draft.
Great. Thank you, Matt. And thank you for showing off your quarantine beard. We appreciate that here on today's Zoom call.
Thank you.
And now with the number 30 pick in the Athletic beat writer mock draft, we have yet another trade. So this pick started out as the Green Bay Packers pick. Our beat writer, Matt Schneidman, traded it on the night before the draft with the Seattle Seahawks. And then during the draft, Seahawks beat writer Michael Sean Dugar traded out of the first round, and the Los Angeles Chargers got back into the first round. They gave up number 37, number 112, and number 186 to get back into the first round here. So now to announce the pick at number 30 is Daniel Popper of the Athletic Los Angeles.
Okay, with the 30th overall pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select Ezra Cleveland, offensive tackle out of Boise State.
All right, so we know that the Chargers have already made a move this offseason to get Trey Turner, an offensive tackle, and now this is another big move to get another tackle. What are they doing here, and what's your thinking behind this pick, Dan?
Yeah, so they're thin at left tackle because they traded Russell Okung for Trey Turner, as you alluded to. They don't really have anyone on the roster who's really a starting caliber left tackle. So they needed to add somebody. And the way I saw the draft sort of shaking out, I didn't think that one of these top 7 tackles, or in this case, Ezra Cleveland, was going to make it to pick 37. And Michael Sean was shopping the pick. I ended up giving a 4th and a 6th, and then along with the 2nd to move back into the first round to take Ezra Cleveland. He fits with what the Chargers are looking to do. He's very athletic, ran a sub 5.40, and is a really polished pass protector. So should have an opportunity to start right away. And the Chargers, these are the two needs, in my opinion, that they need to knock out early in this draft: is quarterback and offensive tackle. They give up a little bit of capital to move up into that first round, but it makes a lot of sense, and they're able to address multiple needs here in the first round.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dan. And now the San Francisco 49ers are back on the clock. Here to announce the number 31st pick in the Athletic Beat Writer mock draft, we're joined by David Lombardi of the Athletic Bay Area. Go ahead, David.
With the 31st overall pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Denzel Mims, wide receiver, Baylor.
All right, David. Was there anybody else that you might have been considering here at number 31? And now that Mims is the pick, how do you think Kyle Shanahan is going to use him in that offense?
Yeah, we actually wanted the guy who the Chargers just picked. We wanted Ezra Cleveland, the tackle, to be the heir apparent to Joe Staley moving forward after Joe Staley retires in one of the next couple of years. But that obviously didn't happen because the Chargers took him. That being said, we also really like Denzel Mims. In fact, he was Matt Barrows, the other 49ers beat writer's draft crush, in his draft crush article that he wrote last week. And the reason that Denzel Mims and the 49ers fit so well is because his physical profile, especially his short area quickness, we saw that excellent three-cone drill time at the NFL Combine of 6.66. That is right along what Kyle Shanahan looks for in a wide receiver. Now, Shanahan is not going to draft or sign a wide receiver just because he's tall. The tall part here, the 6'3" height, is a bonus for Denzel Mims. What Shanahan is looking for is that ability to separate on those slant patterns with that short area quickness. And we think that the combination of the physical profile that Mims brings to the table with that three-cone time and with that height and his ability to high point some balls is something that's really exciting for the 49ers and something that they'll be able to work with on the outside, just because Mims also still is a fairly raw receiving prospect, but he definitely has the physical tools to work in the 49ers system.
And here with the final pick in the first round of our Athletic Beat Writer mock draft, there has been yet another trade where Bill O'Brien from the Houston Texans, or Aaron Reiss, as the case might be, has traded number 40 and a 2021 fifth-round pick to get into the first round, swapping in with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, to make this pick here at number 32 is Aaron Reiss of the Athletic Houston. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, with the 32nd pick, I have the Texans taking Ross Blacklock, defensive lineman from TCU. I thought maybe he was a guy who would be available at 40, but when I saw him slipping down the board and have a chance to get him there, I think that I was channeling kind of what we've seen from O'Brien, and he maybe wouldn't wait 8 picks to see if the guy was there, and he would just move up a little bit to take him, and I liked what the price was.
All right, so this is a dangerous proposition here, but can you try to take us inside Bill O'Brien's head a little bit and what he might be thinking on draft night, given how much he loves making trades? And is there anything crazy that he might try to pull off during the draft on Thursday?
Yeah, I don't think he could really move that high into the first round just with what he has. But I thought that this move made some sense just because they have 2 fourth-round picks next year, obviously acquiring one from the Rams, which they think could maybe be a pretty high pick given kind of the situation of the state of the Rams. So getting rid of that fifth didn't cost too much. And I just didn't see a situation in which Bill O'Brien sat things out. Maybe he will end up doing so. But with a guy like that, like Blacklock, to help a defensive line that really, really needed it, it just made some sense to me to make the move up.
Well, I know we will all be eagerly watching to see what Bill O'Brien does this weekend and see if he might trade Deshaun Watson or J.J. Watt. So we'll all be actively watching Bill O'Brien and your Twitter to bring us all of the breaking news updates there. So thank you so much, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks.
And now we are joined by the Athletic Seattle's Michael Shandugar to take us through some very active trade moves that he made for Seattle during our beat writer mock draft. Thank you so much for joining us, Michael Sean. Can you kind of take us through the 2 trades that you made for the Seahawks, starting with one that you made the night before our mock draft?
Yeah, so Seattle didn't have 27 first-round grades on this crop of prospects. So starting the night before, the thought was, okay, let's see if we can move back. The price might have been too steep for other teams to just move straight from 27 all the way out of the first round. So that's when the idea came to start talking to teams who have, picks 30, 31, 32, thus the move with Green Bay to grab a 4th and a 6th. That also kind of helps recoup losing that 5th rounder that they sent to Washington for Quentin Dunbar. And then, that was all just the night before. Busy night before.
Yeah. So then as you watched our mock draft kind of unfold, were you still trying to make moves and get out? What teams were you talking to? And then ultimately, why did you pull off the move that you did to get all the way out of the first?
Well, Seattle really needs edge help. So it depended on how the board shaped up at that position. I believe the kid from LSU came off the board, and the kid from Iowa came off the board. And there was a little nervousness there, but didn't believe that the picks. I think the Iowa kid came off at 26. We knew the teams at 27, 28, and 29 probably wouldn't take edge players, and Seattle really has its sights set on Yetur Gross-Matos from Penn State, and figured they could get him early in the 2nd round. So decided to move back. We're actually some really good offers for 30 from Cleveland, Vegas, Chargers, and Texans. Actually, so a lot of activity to get back in the 1st round. Ended up going with the Chargers deal, and I ended up a pass rusher with at least their top pick in the 2nd round.
All right. Well, I think you have done an excellent job of channeling John Schneider and Pete Carroll. You seem to have figured out exactly their draft DNA and what they are very likely to do on Thursday night when the real draft unfolds. So, Michael Sean, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to reading all your Seahawks coverage over the next few days.
All right. Thanks. Always compete.
Thank you for watching the Athletic Beat Writers Zoom mock draft. You can check out Dane Brugler's analysis of this draft on the app or on theathletic.com on Wednesday. And please join us for all of our draft coverage all weekend long. And don't forget, we've got a 90-day free trial. Go to theathletic.com/free 90 days to read all of our sports coverage.